Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family all around the world.
It's Matt.
It's Greg.
I tried so hard to follow you.
You nailed it. Dude, am I getting predictable? Like that was both really impressive and vaguely uncomfortable. Anyway, guys, welcome back.
Welcome back
to the
guys.
bottom tier. We did the introductions and crap already, so hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Cool, I'm good. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm not good. I'm salty as heck, but we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole episode to talk about.
We have a whole episode. But we don't need to do that immediately. Let's.
Well, I mean, first off, to listeners, we're back to a normal episode. Greg's back. You're feeling better.
I am back, and I'm feeling almost 75%.
That's good.
Which is pretty good.
I
don't usually peak above 80 or so. So, like, I'm running at basically peak efficiency for me right now.
I think that's everybody that's hitting their 30s.
Like, once you hit 30 and you become aware of all, like, the joints that you were never aware of before, 80% is, like, the high bar and just goes downhill from there.
100%.
I'm convinced.
100%.
Leave your comments about aging in the comments, I guess. Anyway, super exciting week in Flesh and Blood. Let's just jump out of the gate, I guess, unless we want to...
let's just start with the news.
Let's start with the news.
Yes, we'll go with the fun and exciting stuff and then gradually go to the stuff we're probably going to talk about for a long period of time. And so the
stuff Greg's about to rant about.
The fun and exciting news, because we didn't really get to talk about it last time, is... they're making blitz decks of tons of old heroes.
Blitz decks of tons of old heroes, and I'm super excited about it, man.
That's so cool.
It's going to open things up for new players and for more experienced players who maybe missed like the initial like runs of like WTR and stuff. Yep. It's phenomenal. It's about flipping time.
Yep. So History Pack 2 is what was announced. Mm-hmm. With that comes tons of blitz decks of Bravo,
that's Dory, Reinar,
all that stuff. You could be able to buy in that little whatever, and on top of the 6 blitz decks that are coming out for Outsiders. So that means we're going to have like 14 pretty much, or 8 decks coming out for Outsiders. How many that is? That's like 16 new decks, which means that they're actually making their blitz format kind of the entry-level format, which is really cool.
Exactly. Nice and accessible, easy to buy, pre-made product for, and just jump right in. Skirmish season is coming up, so Blitz is back on the radar, I suppose. Not necessarily top of everybody's mind. With,
right.
ProQuest still finishing up here and all of that jazz. But so it's exciting to be a new player or to be a player who hasn't had the chance to experience those sorts of heroes quite yet.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I missed out on Arcane and Crucible and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So being able to go back a little bit and like pick a couple of these things up and get a few of the cards that I'm missing in my collection, like that's super exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting for those who aren't spending money to go back in those areas, and that's really, really, really cool. Like for me, I don't think I ever made a Viscerai deck. I've like Blitz deck or Commoner deck or anything like that. It's just like got to go find those cards, and it's kind of hard to find. So it makes me excited to kind of have that steeple thing and be able to go from there and be pretty set for that. So that's exciting.
100%. I'm definitely gonna be blowing some money on it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing is that people on the internet is saying is like, hey, like, yo. We still have no announcement for Chain and Prism coming back, but I still think we're going to be seeing that soon. So
I really hope so. They've talked a few times about wanting to bring the heroes back, and we've seen a little bit of hero recycling already. Like Arachne's getting recycled like already.
Just the young hero part, though. Just the young hero.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so, actually.
It's just the young, yeah. If you look in the set, it's literally just the young hero that's getting printed.
Is it just the young one?
That's reprinted, yeah. So it's 19 health, young hero, that's it.
I was pretty sure...
The adults are only the new heroes.
I might easily be going crazy. It's been one hell of
No,
a
everyone
week,
did. Everyone did. So only the new heroes are going to have adult forms. So that's the Uzuri and Trap
Big
Man,
Boy.
Trap Man.
Yeah.
And probably Katsu or whatever.
Probably Katsu or whatever.
Yeah.
Benji. Everybody's favorite.
Adult, yeah.
Everybody's favorite.
So with that, that's Outsiders, and that's the History Pack stuff, and that's super exciting.
It is. Yeah. It's good.
But with that, there was bigger news, and everyone was waiting for it. We were waiting for the 30th, but we got the banned and suspended list a little bit early so that people could prep for the ProQuest happening and just have time to make sure their decks are legal for the Pro Tour, I think.
Calling,
something like that. Was it Indonesia?
I genuinely don't recall. I have the list right here, so I can just check really quick.
Something like
due to the proximity of that date to the Calling Indianapolis taking place on February 4th to 5th. All right. Well, points for picking a proper noun that began with I and was actually a geographic location.
I'm great.
You did it.
I'm so good.
You did it.
But anyways, Indianapolis. Very cool.
Very cool.
So with that, there were some spicy bands on there.
Oh my God.
And some suspensions. Greg, you have the list up. Why don't you just start venting?
Okay. Well, okay. So let's start by discussing the stuff that doesn't make me super, super salty. So Amulet of Ice and Hypothermia both suspended until Icelander becomes living legend. What do we think about that? I'm pretty like I'm kind of a guy.
Well, I'm not upset about this because I'm
grumpy about Amulet of Ice. I'm grumpy about it. I'm not salty about it.
Yeah.
Hypothermia, I don't mind so much. I don't like. I run Oldham. We all know that. We're all going to dig into that again a little deeper in 5 minutes. But I don't usually run Hypothermia, so I don't really care about that so much.
Cool. Yeah. So for me, Amulet of Ice.
Selfish.
Yeah. No, for me, I enjoy versing Icelander. I guess the preference before this is we've been talking a lot about how, and they even say it in the article, how it's really, really cool to see all the heroes that are out there competing and doing things. But as they said in this ban and suspension list, that there's a few heroes that it's making it feel a little bit stale because they always come up on top. So the three heroes that they're talking about is Oldham, Icelander, and Fi. And so those three are always making it on top. And with that is why these bans are happening. So I don't necessarily agree with it because I don't really think we've had enough time to really overcome the obstacle of what this is and find the way to be able to beat it. But I also get what they're doing at a standpoint of we want to make our game fun. And I agree with one ban. This is just suspension, so that's fine. But the Hypothermia is, I don't know, it does ruin turns. I think I lost because of a Hypothermia in ProQuest.
Hypothermia is situational. You have to be playing the right sort of deck and they have to be, ready to go with something for it to have its maximum effect. But when it has an effect, when that situation comes around, it is ridiculously dominant.
Yeah.
Imagine playing a ninja or a rune blade and all of a sudden, you set up for this big turn and boop, sorry, no more go again.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with me because Dramai is really red heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to me there as well. Hey, I'm playing Hypothermia. Now a lot of my turns, it's cool, it costs a little bit extra, which means I lost a lot of cards in my hand to be able to do this certain thing, which means less dragons and all that type of stuff. So it did affect me because I got hit with Hypothermia about 3 times versus the Icelander, and I lost against that, right? I lost because of it was gradual arcane damage over time, and I just couldn't get dragons out enough, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I see why they suspend it. They're really nerfing Icelander with that. With both of those things, because the Amulet of Ice could give you free frostbite and it costs nothing, and the Hypothermia gives you frostbite and makes everything cost expensive. So it does hurt Icelander quite a bit. However, there is one hero that it also hurts quite a bit, and that's Lexi.
Yeah, Lexi kind of gets stomped with this. Which poor Lexi, it just seems like all the time, we're Briar's a little bit too dominant. We're going to take this away. And now, the ice heroes are too dominant. We're going to take them away. And Lexi's just over in the corner crying, please, sir, can I have some more?
And maybe there's thought to it as well. We don't know what's coming out in Outsiders that might benefit Lexi big time because 100%. There's going to be so much Ranger support.
Right. There's clearly going to be a lot of Ranger stuff and some ridiculous new build could come out. But for right now, Lexi's just getting the shaft.
Yeah. With those two cards.
With those two specifically. Yeah. Not an overarching narrative or anything. I don't think LSS has anything against Lexi like they do Azalea. Cough, cough. But,
well, not anymore.
Not anymore. They're coming around. But no, Lexi's a good deck if you can figure out how to pilot it. Pretty technical, but really rewarding when you get there.
Yeah, honestly, I think when I verse a Lexi, it's probably my favorite games.
It can be really, really fun. It can be really, really awful.
Yeah. But I always feel like it's a very close match every time I verse a Lexi, and it's a lot of fun to be able to do that. I have
universally gotten stomped by Lexi.
Okay.
Every Lexi I've ever played has been here's 15 arrows in a turn. Sorry, man.
I'm sorry.
See, that's usually how they respond to sorry.
There was one Lexi I versed during ProQuest, and we were down to 1 HP, and it just felt so good to pretty much take damage but play Oasis Respite and be I'm still alive, and they're oh, you understood how to beat me here. Like, yeah. Like I
did.
I perfect blocked you and then I beat you, you know?
Yep.
And so that felt really good. So that's why I like those matches. I always feel like it's always 1-to-1 with Alexi all the time. So
well, I'm happy that that's been your experience.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled that you've gotten the good matches.
So now I'm excited to stomp on Lexi is what I'm saying. But with that, like these bans do affect that hero. But there is a ban or suspensions. There is a band that we're going to talk about that I'm excited about.
Is that Belittle?
Yeah.
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 I actually think that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any particular issue, and I've run Belittle Minnowism
Yeah.
cores before. Like I mean, everybody has. If you play any kind of aggro like before now,
Yeah.
Belittle and Minnowism were kind of a shoo-in because they're just that good.
Yeah. So that's what they were saying is like we have so many heroes and yet this kind of takes away from every hero that it puts into and just becomes a Belittle Minnowism deck. And so they're trying to change up the flavor of it because if you're running Viscera, you're running Belittle Minnowism. You're running Fi now, you're running Belittle Minnowism.
Mm-hmm.
If you were running Chain, it was a Belittle Minnowism. If
100%.
you're running that, like every Runeblade's running Belittle Minnowism, it's able to all of a sudden bring in 3 costs to be able to overcome certain things. It's able to do a lot of stuff. And so I think it's a great ban because it gets rid of 2 cards for the price of 1, and it makes it so people have to be a little bit more interesting when it comes to deck building. And it frees up 9 cards, so you get to kind of experience some cool stuff.
And be a little bit more flexible with your deck. Like I 100% agree with them that the Belittle Minnowism engine, while effective, also kind of boring.
Yeah.
Because they're generic cards, because they can fit into basically any deck concept, starting to differ, it takes away a lot of what makes the game unique.
Yeah.
So really, really good call there. That one is the one that I have no negative feelings about, like at all.
The only caveat is it hurts Viscera the most because I feel like Viscera doesn't really have anything comparable to like overcome that.
It definitely slows Vis down a little bit, which
Vis has been slowed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so I think like that hurts that hero quite. That might be the worst hurt right there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But Viscera can take a little bit of a little nerf and be okay.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to nerf Fi mostly because he gets the
100%. Fi can take ridiculous advantage of those cards.
But at the same time, like I think Fi is gonna be fine. I hope we can see Phoenix Form Fi come back. That'd be a lot of fun.
Right,
to watch.
exactly.
But it just means people would run Phoenix Flames again, and we'll see how that goes because it might just put people off of Fi because they can't do that. So I know a lot of people. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people in competitive scenes follow the patterns, and this ban kind of you can see kind of hurts people's feelings in certain ways, where it's like they're taking a hard step in this direction that kind of can like hurt a fan base a little bit,
100%.
So it's interesting. It's a very like I would say this might be the most like. Besides Storm Shredders, the most like drastic ban list they had. Yeah,
this one is big. Like it affects a lot of things,
especially this one. Here we go.
Oh my god! All right, and then the last thing. Oh, Winter's Wail has been banned.
Yeah,
not suspended. Banned.
Yeah,
gone.
Yeah,
explicitly because, much like the dreaded Duskblade, they think it's too good. And you know what? They're not wrong. Winter's Wail is phenomenal.
Yeah.
3 pitch, if it's an ice card, create a frostbite like for 4 damage. Let's go. Like that fits in perfectly with like every single Oldhim strategy.
Yeah.
It is literally the best weapon possible for him.
Yeah.
And they've taken it away.
So now you got to use a different weapon.
They've taken away my Eisenloft. They've taken away my Winter's Wail. I don't even want to play this stupid game anymore.
Yeah, they took away
I have
stuff.
to rebuild this deck again, Matt.
They beat up Oldhim. Oldhim's really getting short-ended here. And I think it's because, Oldhim's ice again. They have too many ice heroes.
So
it's just kind of crazy. Yeah.
Ice is really powerful because this game, more than almost any other like style of this game that I've played, is really focused around keeping the momentum. If you can grab momentum in the game and you can hold on to it, you are positioned to win. Like full stop. The whole game really, if you abstract it, can be seen as a war momentum. Whoever can get it going fastest, whoever can maintain that, or whoever can grab it away from the opponent hold that momentum and really make it work for them, they're going to have a phenomenal showing.
Yeah.
Ice takes that away. Completely changes those rules. You think you have some momentum going? Congratulations. Here's 3 frostbites. Figure out your resource curve on that.
Yep.
Sorry, Dromai. Sorry, Fi, with all of your red cards. You can't play anything this turn.
Yeah, I mean, it was many more to really do anything.
Right,
so.
exactly. So, like, Ice is really powerful. And I think especially as we continue to move on, we see that the Aria set in general pushes against that OP line where it's just a little bit too powerful for kind of where things are. They played with it a little bit. They tried some new things, and I think overall the set's really good, but it also has a lot of stuff that just doesn't work in a healthy competitive meta anymore.
Right.
And I get that ice heroes are a part of that. I understand that. I don't mind, tweaking the meta to make sure it stays fun and interesting and everything. I'm just salty. I spent like
it's just so fascinating though. Like you of course you put a lot of time in something, and this is like kind of double whammy to you. Like my hero got living legend. I went to this hero. You're getting rid of that. It sucks because you're getting rid of at least it wasn't a legendary card. They talked about banning.
Yeah,
Crown of Seeds.
They considered taking Crown away, which
would nullify completely. But people already have stuff to go against it.
They're going to do that next. I don't think that Winter's Wail is a necessary card in a lot of Oldhim decks, but it's not like necessary. Yeah. Oldhim players can switch out to Titan's Fist fairly easily. They can switch to Sledge of Anvilheim, of course, if they want to get a little bit beefier and lose the shield. So like finding a replacement isn't going to be that big a deal, but the flow changes. So in a couple of months, when people figure out what the new flow is, when people figure out what the new sort of top deck is, we're going to see Oldhim playing, Resurge, and we're going to see a similar situation where we have now, where a bunch of people at top 8s all over the place are coming in with Oldhim, and then they're going to ban Crown. Crown's the next one coming, guys.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because it brings another thought in my head. Because as I was looking through a lot of cards, building decks, and going through, I see a lot of Earth cards that never get played. There's only like a handful of 3 that you'll see play in Briar. But as far as like Oldham's concerned, not much, right?
Not a whole lot. It's Ices and Guardian cards are usually what you go with.
And so I'm curious if I hope that we can see something creative happen with Oldham and maybe even Briar too, where we kind of see a resurgence of some Earth coming back, which would be really neat to be able to see.
Once I got over being annoyed,
I
actually started to think about what I wanted to change my deck up to, and it's going to incorporate some more Earth cards.
Yeah.
Because there are a few out there that I've been kind of thinking about sort of trying to incorporate for a while now. It just didn't make sense given everything else happening with the deck and everything. But, I mean, between losing Eisenloft and having to rework around that, and now losing the foreign Frostbite, there's a lot of rework I have to do to my deck.
Yeah.
So I don't know 100% what I'm going to do, but it's going to be interesting and probably terrible.
Yeah. It's already interesting with Icelander. You have to rework that. You have to rework Fi. You have to rework all these 3 heroes are pretty much saying hey, rework this and rework all the other heroes so we can have a fun meta again, or whatever. But the meta, in my opinion, was the best it was. However, when we go down in there, you do see a graph of people who won ProQuest. And it is the majority of Icelander, Oldhim, Fi.
Yep.
People thought Briar was going to be able to Living Legend, but it only has about 10%, and it was at 960.
Yeah.
And so that means Briar's probably not out of this ProQuest.
Briar's probably not going to LL after ProQuest, which is wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, but that goes back to sort of prove the point, I guess, at how dominant these decks are starting to become.
Yeah.
You can definitely swing in with an aggro dash or something like that, and upset that, come in with a strong showing, and top or win. But when 6 of the 7 people you're facing are ice heroes, you got to do something about the ice heroes.
I think a part of the problem too is cost. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about cost.
So I do think that a lot of the heroes we're seeing come in are a lot of the players that were Flesh and Blood's really, really fun. I think there was a huge resurgence in Flesh and Blood, or a huge growth spurt with Uprising. And so we got Fi, Icelander, and Oldhim as the meta during that time period. That was the main thing. And then everyone's just kind of cool, after Worlds we go to sleep mode because Christmas time happened. ProQuest is I'm not really going to spend time to build a new hero. I'm just going to pick up my old deck that played really well and
just
bring
go
it again.
for it. Yeah.
Because the cost is really, really steep for Flesh and Blood. I don't think
it gets expensive.
It's in order to have the best deck that everyone talks about for certain heroes, you are talking about almost $1,000 per hero. because you're buying
absolutely.
legendary equipment and all that stuff. Not to mention like the rise in popularity and print and demand and all that stuff. Like it's expensive to be able to play the game. And
Spring Tunic, a set of Command and Conquer, and a set of Art and War is like, that's like $600 right there.
And those are steeples, right?
Yeah.
And I personally haven't bought Art of War Command and Conquer because I don't want to put that cost out for it. Yeah. And I think it's fine not to be able to play with those. I'm able to do really well. Like it's not a huge factor for me, right? Erase Face does just fine. You know, I got those. But with that, like it is a huge cost to be able to change decks. So now what you do is you kind of stop the players being like, well, I can't use this deck anymore. I don't have the funds to be able to do something else. I can't get the cards to be able to replace it or whatever. And I want to stick with this hero, and it kind of deflates a little bit. So they're going to see a lot of that as well as like, as you do the cost for that, you kind of take the identity of that hero and you go from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everyone can have 3 decks and do whatever.
Right, and that's a big consideration. Like one of the reasons it took me so long to find a new hero after Chain got LL'd was because I have very limited funds. Like I'm basically paycheck to paycheck. I can't go and drop, $500 a month on picking up singles. So before I made the decision, I really had to know that I wanted to go with that particular hero before I plopped the money down on it. And then I did. And I plopped some money down on it, and I was pretty happy. And nope. And now I'm, even if I still want to play Oldhim. Oldhim is still fun. I still like playing Oldhim. I like the way that the hero works. I like the way Guardians work, blah, 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 blah. Even if I wanted to change from Oldhim to someone else, I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't have the money for it. I would have to sell the legendaries and stuff that I have for Oldhim in order to acquire some of the stuff for whoever I wanted to go into. And Oldhim's
prices dropped because it's banned.
Yeah, exactly. So Winter's Whale is not worth anything anymore. Not that it was ever super expensive to begin with. But, Rampart of Ram's Head, Crown of Seeds, Heart of Ice, like all those sorts of things, those prices have been going down recently. Like those have been getting cheaper. So recycling those into something else like that,
Not to mention people are hyped over the new stuff, and like we saw Ranger stuff go crazy.
Yep.
And you're like, cool. So it's interesting because you're just there, and like you just suffer from that. Like I'm excited for the new hero. I might be able to get it in draft or whatever and all that type of stuff. But like for me to go out there and purchase like Ranger equipment, probably not going to do it.
Like the hood and the what are the arms? There's an arm piece, right, for Ranger that's really like.
No, I don't think arm.
I don't know.
Bullseye brace is where it's at. But
I don't play Rangers that much. Yeah. But yeah, like kidding yourself out, even at the cheap end of things where you're working mostly Majestics and not so much Legendaries, like you're still looking at a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So that's something to consider. So like ban suspension list, like I'm in the middle of it. Like I get what they're doing, and also like my heart goes out to those who may feel like, man, like that was the deck I had. Now I have to rethink everything over, and hopefully you're able to sell some cards and get some funds back over. But like it's tough. Ban and suspended lists are really, really tough to be able to go over, because like I personally felt the meta was great because I saw so many new heroes out there in the wild. Not new heroes, but resurgence of different heroes out there in the wild, and it was fun, and it was like, whoa, I'm versing this round and this round. Like there's nothing I can really prepare for. And now it's kind of like, now you don't even need to worry about these meta guys and everything you don't need to prepare. And that's cool. But we're going to get something else. I don't know. Like, it's just interesting. Like, I see what they did. It's like makes it less stale, like they said. But I also felt like we didn't have too much time as well to enjoy this like thing and find a way to be able to overcome it. So,
I mean, especially since Dynasty dropped only like a month or two ago. So like that's relatively recent. Like
Dynasty dropped and just kind of
we haven't seen the whole impact of that yet. Like there are secrets there waiting to be discovered. So I don't know. I get what they're trying to do here. I support the creators actively being involved in managing the meta and making sure everybody can still have a good time and that everything still feels fresh and lively. But just let me play my buff Santa guy, man. I just want to be a big grumpy dude and just big grumpy dude at people.
Wearing a tunic.
Why can't I do that, James White?
I don't. Yeah.
James White. what's your problem with me?
But hey, I'm excited to see the shakeup and see where it goes. And,
hopefully this leads to, a new burst of creativity. We see some heroes that haven't gotten a lot of attention pull back up a little bit into the zeitgeist. Hopefully, personally, I'm hoping Levia pops off. I have no idea why she would, but
probably not.
Probably not. Almost definitely not going to happen. But man, wouldn't it be cool if it did?
It'd be cool,
right?
Maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future one day.
So yeah, that's the real big news is the suspended list and the ban list and all that stuff. So let us know what you guys think, and you can of course reach out to us in our social medias and stuff.
We really genuinely would love to know your thoughts about this.
Are we wrong? Are we whatever? So
yeah, please yell at us. Please tell us that we're idiots. We don't mind that. So the Twitbot, the Red Chat, the UView,
all that stuff,
the things.
But with that,
Instaface,
we have a second segment we usually do in this podcast for Flesh and Blood.
We do usually do it, and
it's called Lessons Learned. I didn't do it last week.
Lessons learned. Last week doesn't really count because last week was sort of just
me going, oh, Greg's not here.
Exactly, yeah. I listened to that episode. Just 7 minutes of Matt crying in a corner. It was great.
It was great, yeah. Barfing, I don't know.
Anyway, lessons learned, Matt. That was gross. What do you got for us this week to quickly move on from that?
Oh, man, room leads are awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
Correct.
No, lessons learned. I think the lesson learned is you don't need to be transparent with your cards.
Okay.
It's polite to be like, this is how it works. Here's here.
Oh,
but like this is this. But also at the same time, when you're playing at a big event and stuff, if the person asks, great, but it's not my obligation to help you figure out math. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So that's what I mean. It's not you should explain the card, explain what it does and all that type of stuff, but don't be for example, I was playing this match and it was Lexi. I was playing Lexi. He was playing Dash, and he was like, "If I block with this, that should work, right?" I was like,
"I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's up to you to figure it out of what you want to block with, because this is a tournament,
right? This is stakes, man.
Yeah, but I can tell you that I'm presenting this, and it could potentially be this, because it was two electrify. It was like an electrify out and like a shock strider. Like it was like a stacking of like how much.
Yeah.
And so it was going to do 7 damage if they took any damage.
Yeah.
And they had so much HP. And so I'll just block with 1 because that seems like the right math. And they lost. Oh, can I redo it? No.
This is a tournament, my guy.
No.
This isn't kitchen table fab.
No. I did beat you and I presented you with all the information. So
you made the incorrect choice.
So to rephrase that, present the information, they make the decision.
Exactly. It's like everybody's lawyer tells them.
Yeah.
The very first thing, shut up.
Yeah.
Just don't say anything. Do your thing. Let them draw their own conclusions.
Yep.
And when you're sitting across from when it's kitchen table fab, or when it's a less serious armory or something like that, that kind of thing is fine. Putting your heads together and kind of geeking out over the game as you're playing it. Cool. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
But when you go to something that's explicitly like a bracketed tournament or a pro quest or something that's a big thing, show up and know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Honestly, at that point.
Yeah. Just present it and then they get to make the decision. And if it goes down, it's
And exactly like you said, if they ask a mechanical question, does this pop if I do this?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not going to do that then.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do that then, or whatever.
Yeah.
Asking for more information is fine, but don't ask the other person to take your turn for them.
That's just for more tournament status. If there's points involved or you get certain scores for certain things. That's my lesson. Definitely local armies and stuff, like you said. If you're more inclined to be oh, I want to make sure to see if I can actually beat you if this happens.
Yeah.
Happens. But you win that way, and you're because it's tricky and all that type of stuff. And so that's my lesson learned. It's kind of more of my rough take where I don't think people agree with it. But yeah, that's my lesson learned this week.
Just read the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. That's good, man. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's good little piece of advice, a little etiquette nugget for us tonight.
Yeah, there you go. What about you, Greg?
Oh my God. Aside from never fall in love with any of these cards, the biggest lesson for me, honestly, is just to watch your matchups. It's it's really, really important to bring the right hero to the game.
Sorry.
The video is going to be up on YouTube, and you will see this in action. But pro tip, team, don't bring an illusionist to a Guardian fight.
Honestly, so we're playing in this tournament, for context for everyone. We're playing in this tournament that you bring 3 decks, and you both ban 1.
Yep.
And so Greg brought Bravo,
Dromai, and Chain.
I banned Bravo, and so he selected Dromai. But before he did that, he banned one of my heroes, and I had Bravo, Lexi, and Briar. And so he banned Lexi because he knows she's familiar with the deck.
Because I know that deck, and I don't like it.
Without thinking, I was just like, he picked Dromai. I was like, I'll pick Bravo. I wasn't even like thinking about poppers. And then we played the match. I was like, oh, that's dumb.
I had to remind you about Phantasm. I reminded him about Phantasm.
Very good etiquette. Like, that's Phantasm. Very good etiquette. Because I was just going to be like, here's 5. But yeah, I totally... It was gross. Like, I wasn't...
It was disgusting. Watch your matchups, kids.
Yeah. So, anyways, we switched to Briar and played the tournament out that way because I want to have fun when I play this game.
Yeah, exactly. Not just curb stomp your friends. Although, if you want to curb stomp your friends, give them Dromai or Prism and come in with Oldhim or Bravo, and see how much they like you afterwards.
Yeah. So yeah, watch your match. That's a great lesson.
You watch your matchups.
I like it.
Yeah.
Prepare for your matchups. Commoner, it's really hard because you're stuck with the 40.
It's tricky. Yeah, you don't have a sideboard or anything, so you just kind of got to swing with what you got.
Yep, but yeah, watch your matchups.
Mm-hmm. I'm still really salty about that.
That was a rough game. I'm so sorry. All of them were rough for you. I'm really sorry.
They were all kind of rough. Yeah. Is that because I'm a terrible deck builder, or is that because you're just good at this game?
I don't know. I kind of want to swap decks and see what would happen.
I'd probably still lose. I'm really bad at this game, y'all.
It might just be deck building. I don't know.
It might just be. Like, frankly, and this sounds really like, Greg's making an excuse for sucking sort of thing, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. I've only played it a couple of times. What do you want? Something
I learned, too, is, like, especially in, like, Commoner, is, of course, do the math, but don't block. You don't have to block unless that's what your deck's like mechanics are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to block anything with, like, I didn't have to block. Like, Bravo was meant to block, and I was just blocking. You know, I was like, meh.
Yeah.
And that felt gross until the end turns like, yeah, I'll take all that damage, and here you go. You know, like,
thanks, buddy.
But like playing Briar, it's like, cool, I can start blocking when I have like 4 to like 3 HP left because then it matters. I'll just take tons of damage so I can have the full turn. And so something I noticed with you, man, lessons learned is me saying,
yeah, man,
you're blocking a lot. You block a lot on every turn.
Yeah, see, it's because I freaking play Guardian, man.
Yeah, so you don't need a block on every turn.
Getting out, and here's another lesson: getting out of the mindset of what you're usually doing when you're playing a different hero, it can be really difficult.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that sort of front of mind, like we were just talking about. Dromai, why am I blocking as an illusionist?
You should, especially in Commoner, like
especially in Commoner.
Dromai and CC, some builds are very block heavy, where it's like, cool, I'm just blocking block, and then I just have 2 cards.
But especially in Commoner, where the pool is relatively limited and you don't have the things to pull those turns off, like, it's madness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then if you're versing someone who's super aggro, it depends on the deck too. If you're versing like as Dromai, know your matchups. It's like Lexi, no blocks, going ham. You know, like, I'm presenting all this stuff, doing this, and then I can, like, as soon as I have like 5-6 dragons out there that they're like, I have to deal with this, you're able to be like and like store and get ready and power up and all that type of stuff. But like Icelander, it's like I'm playing a very slow game, making sure I make my plays right. And then aggro again, Oldhim, you're playing very slow, like you're kind of matching the tempo. Mm-hmm. And so there's certain like things you do with certain heroes. Dromai is like kind of one of those heroes that feels like it plays different against the hero you're versing.
Yeah, there's a definite rhythm to each of the heroes. Mm-hmm. Like they all sort of move to their own beat, which, you know, is probably a really obvious thing to say, but it's important to keep in mind when you're transitioning between heroes or when you're playing with different builds or things like that. Mm-hmm. As you change the deck, as you change the hero, as you change what equipment you have, the rhythm changes too.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you go out and you try to do a salsa to a funk song, it's not going to work.
It
right?
could.
It could, but it's probably not.
Yeah.
You got to do the right thing for what you're experiencing. So that's another lesson learned.
Yeah.
That's another lesson. We're learning a lot today, folks.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. With that, Greg, what is the thing? Let's end on a happy note.
Let's end on a happy note. It's been kind of a salty episode.
What is the thing that you're like most excited about in Flesh and Blood in general?
Like in general, like for the next year or so, like 2023. What do we want to? What are we hopeful for in Flesh and Blood, sort of thing, or just general?
Like for you right now, what actually like makes you very excited about the game? And if you say no, that's fine and valid too. I just want to see like where are you at and what are you excited about?
Like really frankly, the more that I've been engaged in this and the more that I kind of continue through it, I find myself coming back more and more to the idea of, community, of people coming together and doing a thing together just for a couple of hours to kind of, forget about the week, forget about real life for a minute and just sort of escape. Life is getting more stressful all the time. It's happening to me. It's happening to you. I'm sure it's happening to everybody out there listening. Things get harder as time goes on. So having that little bit of an escape and having it be around people who you generally, like and get along with and you can joke around with and maybe get some food after or whatever, like that sort of stuff is invaluable. And I'm really like, not just, in the next month or whatever, but in the next like year or so, I really want to like increase my visibility a little bit, really build those kind of ties and sort of just like really make sure that the foundation here in our local community, as much as I can, is strong and solid.
That's awesome. I bounce off of that. Like this week, a lot of stuff happened personally that doesn't need to get discussed here, but
it's been a week, team.
Yeah. But with that, like I took a break from the community a little bit because I was just like, got some things I got to take care of, all that type of stuff. And you know what? It's missed. Like, it's like, I haven't been able to see my friends yet and all that stuff. I have to take care of this business. And it's like, yeah, I miss the community and get texts and stuff of support or, hey, hope everything's going okay and all that stuff. So I definitely miss the community on that aspect. And so just the community is huge in the card games. You make a lot of friends and you have a lot of fun while you do it. So that's big. I like that. I'm glad you're excited about that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
How about you? Anything super special on the radar for Matt's Flesh and Blood hopes, dreams?
To be honest, I am genuinely really excited for drafting that new set. I don't like draft.
It's going to be fun though.
But I'm actually excited for that new challenge. Like it seems very exciting and mechanically cool to be able to do that and think about that. And I'm really, really excited to kind of get my hands on it and experience it. And like Uprising, when I did the Uprising like pre-release, it was the most like devastatingly exciting thing of all time because it was
devastatingly exciting is a really great way to put it.
Because it's like, man, this Icelander Dex X is like 5 though, like holy crap! And it was just like it was a lot of fun to be able to go through like the ups and downs of it and be like, man, like this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to do that too, where like you get like we can choose from 6 heroes to build like a sealed event deck.
Right.
6 booster packs, 6 heroes. That's wild.
I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun.
So it's gonna be cool. So I'm excited for that. That's gonna be really fun, and I think that's gonna be like a top moment for Flesh and Blood. So and community, but I mean, I took
community, but whatever. People.
Yep. So yeah. Well, Greg, as always, it's awesome recording this podcast with you.
It really is the best.
Yep.
Highlight of my week, man.
Same here. And with that. If you guys love the podcast, you can, of course, follow us at Bottom Tier Pod on Twitter and Instagram and all that type of stuff. But also, you can leave us a follow or like or whatever it is, subscription to YouTube. That's what it is.
That is what it is.
On YouTube, and follow us there for more content. We're going to have videos coming out and all that type of stuff.
We're actually ramping up our production. We have some plans in motion. So hopefully we'll be seeing a little bit more of you actually sort of face to face, not just the dulcet sounds of our voice.
This year we definitely want to go to a live event, which is going to be huge.
100%.
Especially before I have the kiddos, so that'll be good. And so
it's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome, guys.
We're super excited. And guys, we're looking forward to doing this with you. Like we were talking about with community a second ago, we here at the Bottom Tier are a community as well, all 12 of us. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think of the show. We want to hear what struggles you're dealing with in the game. We want to hear your triumphs. We want to see your spicy pulls.
Should we have a Bottom Tier Discord? Let us know.
really, please, like, let us. Like, if people are interested in getting together and talking about this stuff in sort of a bottom tier sort of area, like, we'll do that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Join a book club. No, I'm just kidding.
A book club or a writer's guild or
whatever you want.
Exactly. Like, we're flexible and we're here for you.
I love it. Guys, I'm Matt.
And I'm Greg. Thank you all so much for joining us here. We could not do it without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please have a beautiful rest of your week. Cheers. We'll see you next time.